Hello there, welcome to episode 61 of Never Mind the Bullens. It's your bite-sized Everton podcast and vodcast. I'm Mike Peters. Season hoving interview rapidly. First game of the season on Saturday, which I think, we are all excited about, but equally I think we're a bit trepidatious. We'll get to that in a minute. Firstly, positive things that ground has been broken at Bramley Moor. Club sending out alerts about that, which is terrific. So off the pitch, things are good. Lovely new kit, rainbow training shirt, which looks spectacular. Definitely won't get run over while you're jogging wearing that, because it's an extraordinary bit of kit, but all for a good cause. That's been released as well. On the pitch, less good. If, like me, you went to Old Trafford on Saturday, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Or if you watched it online, I paid for the privilege of being there. But before I get to actually what happened on the pitch, I've got to talk about what happened before I got into the ground. Now, we went to get sandwiches because it was a lunchtime kick-off. 2 kids with us, they're going to be hungry. That's kids for you. We were hungry as well, so went and got Tesco meal deals, as you do. Even went to the extent of buying extra drinks that were in cartons. I said we won't be able to take bottles into the ground, so we'll get them so that there's no issues when we get to the gate with the bag. They can check it. There'll be nothing that they can say is not allowed in the ground. Get to 50 yards away from the ground, and I've had dozens of emails from United over the course of the last couple of weeks since I bought the tickets. I was sat up in the Upper East stand, wasn't sat in the Everton section, and at no point did it say bags were not allowed in the ground. So we get there, and I'm like, right, what's the no bags? And they're like, no, nothing at all. I said, well, what about food? Why are we supposed to take food in? Well, you can't take food in. What do you mean? You have to buy food and drinks in the ground. I'm thinking, no, I'm not doing that. So they send you around the corner to drop your bag off, where you have to then pay a £5, which apparently goes to the United Foundation. A bloke behind me in the queue did say, well, at least it's not going to the Glazers. But I just thought, and I did say to the 2 stewards, I said, I have never known in all of my years going to football a ground where you cannot take food or drinking or a bag in, providing they've been checking it and you've got no items that are dangerous or anything like that obviously on the list of banned items. So United have decided that. Not only did they decide that, but then mag-wand you before you get into the ground. Now, I understand they're security conscious, of course. Obviously, they had that bomb scare a couple of years ago. I get that, but it just seems a bit over the top. And, Liverpool have had issues with their ticketing this weekend, but I just thought it just was... Not the fact that they said that you can't take them in, that's annoying in itself, but the fact they hadn't, in all the emails they'd sent, not once had they said you cannot bring bags into the ground on the email. Absolutely crazy. Anyway, it's a £5 to drop the bag off, right? And I queued up, and by fluke, the girl who I went to, her window, she had run out of till roll in her card machine, so she couldn't actually charge me. So I did get it for free and went and picked it up, no problem at the end. But I just thought it's absolutely ridiculous. And in any event, we did actually end up taking drinks in with us, and they were fine with it. Nobody had an issue. So absolutely crackers. I think that's a bit of an overzealous policy. And we did see kids in the ground that had bags with them. So it doesn't seem a cut and dry policy. Anyway, on the pitch itself, as a result of all this fun and games, we literally got in as the players had already come out and were literally about to kick off. And United ran rings around us in the first half. They played some really good football, and our midfield was almost non-existent. Alan Abdoulaye Doucouré just got run round like you wouldn't believe. And obviously a couple of mistakes occurred. Jordan Pickford and Luca Dean. I know Jordan Pickford is very, very rusty, and dropped another one. He put Lurpak on his hands, obviously, before the game in the first half. Spilt a shot. We got away with that. The first goal was a really poor goal to concede. Then the second one didn't mark properly at a set piece. Harry Maguire just got up above. It's a good cross from Luke Shaw, but we didn't mark it properly. And then the third one was a lovely free kick from Bruno Fernandes. I haven't watched any of the highlights back at all. Why would I? But I just didn't quite understand the week before the start of the season. I know obviously there were players that weren't available. I know there was a couple of precautionary ones where Dominic Calvert-Lewin and I think Gbamin and Andre Gomes had some sort of collision in training or something or other, so they were not being risked. I get that, and Calvert-Lewin hasn't had a particularly big break, and he's a doubt anyway as a result of all this stuff for the Southampton game. But I didn't understand what tactics we were trying to play, because we played Alex Iwobi, who and we've talked about him many, many, many times on this podcast. I think most of us have made up our mind about him. But I have to say, on Saturday, I thought he was very industrious. He used the ball well, but there's nothing for us to hit at all. Nothing for us to hit. And so it just invites pressure onto your back four, who weren't all over weren't all that. Seamus Coleman got the run around from Dan James repeatedly. But on the plus side, I can say I've seen James Rodriguez play. Again, he just looks a cut above. I know he's obviously a very expensive player for us to have. It's 200 grand a week, and there's arguments that money can be better spent. I've made that argument here about other players, Bernard, for example. But I just want, looking at it, he's the only player that we've got on the pitch on Saturday, we had on the pitch, that is genuinely world class and a cut above. And you're just thinking, if our ambition is to compete with those top 6 teams and be in that mix, he's a player that we need to keep. He had nothing to hit. He tried. He was there. Obviously, got hauled off at half time. I just don't quite see what the plan is. I couldn't work out what the game plan was. We played with no focal point in attack. I thought Damari Gray, I really liked the look of him. I was very impressed with what he did. He worked really hard. Should have scored in the second half. Alex Owen put the ball across maybe a little bit too quickly, and he couldn't quite get his toe on the end of it to put it in the back of the net. Andros Townsend worked hard, had a good chance, hit the crossbar second half. And we were much, much better second half. But equally, United had dropped down the gears a bit because they knew the game was won. Moise Keane wasn't picked for whatever reason. Not quite sure why that was. Whether it's to do with him going, but we clearly need striking options. And I'm not quite sure what the plan is. It was lovely to see Lewis Dobbin. I suppose there's a joke to be made here that our only striker on the bench is named after the horse from Rentaghost. One for the kids there. That says it. And this lad obviously has been pulling up trees in the under 18, scoring lots of goals, and that's terrific. But if we're going to give him a go, if he's genuinely an option for us this season, he only got 14 minutes. He should have been brought on longer. The game was well gone. So it was a very, very disappointing and frustrating afternoon, but entirely expected as well. I'm just not quite sure. There's a huge amount of pessimism doing the rounds on social media since Saturday, and generally with the transfer policy, they're the only players that we've signed. A couple of weeks yet. We want to try and get players in, and we just don't seem to have done it. There seems to be an issue with Denzel Dumfries. That seems to be a lot of toing and froing on that. We probably do need a right back. We certainly need more in midfield, no question about it. And we obviously need extra options up front, because looking on Saturday, we are going to be basing it on that. We're going to be in for a very long season, if that is anything to go by. And I don't want to, sound the klaxon of doom too early, but that's really concerning. Richarlison we're going to be missing for a couple of weeks. Well, he has a rest after the Olympics. Congratulations to him for getting the gold medal. Fantastic stuff, even if he did miss a penalty. But still, part of that winning team, that's great. But that then impacts us. So it's like, right, who are we getting in to help solve these squad issues? What is the transfer policy? What is the plan? Who are we trying to get in? Because at the moment, we're not seeing anything. And that's really, really concerning. So I actually, as I was coming in, just been in the gym this morning, and I came in and a bloke saw me wearing an Everton top as I come back from the gym, and he went, "Oh, great top that." And he said to me, "What do you think's going to happen on Saturday?" And I said, "I genuinely have no idea. Genuinely have no idea." Because I think it's roller six to start to see what team we put out, how we perform. So, this should be pre-season optimism and all the rest of it. And based on that, on Saturday and everything else that has been happening over the last few weeks, and players that supposedly Rafa Benitez doesn't want, and all of this, it's like, what are we trying to do? What is the plan? What are we trying to achieve? I'm sure he's got a plan. The problem is that it's very difficult for the rest of us to fathom what it is, and there's been very little forthcoming. I know he came out and obviously said we were poor. There was no argument about that on Saturday. Again, didn't watch his post-match comments. What was the point? I could make up my own mind, but it's deeply concerning with the season. As I record this on Tuesday afternoon, a matter of 4 days away, and this is the situation that we're in. Where players are fit on Saturday, but we do need to get bodies into the squad. Begovic did well when he came on as well, and that was pleasing. Tom Davies, I thought, looked good when he came on to replace Allen. But there's a lot of questions to be asked, and being asked, and a very few of them are being answered so far. So hopefully Saturday will bring us all together, and we'll be able to be the 12th man and bring, hopefully 3 points at home. And fingers crossed I shall be there. Just waiting on some cricket-based stuff to decide whether I'll be back at Goodison for the first time or whether I'll have to wait again. Third postponement of my return to Goodison. But you will be there, all being well, on Saturday. And if you're not, I know you'll be cheering on the boys, and we'll be keeping our fingers crossed and everything crossed. So, until next time, I'll do a match review, obviously, of the Southampton game early next week. This has been a Top Content production. You can message me at NMTVPod on Twitter. Drop me a voice note through the link on the podcast, on the description of the podcast, or nmtvpod@gmail.com on the email. Until next time, come on, you Blues.